how marketers can shift their customer journey to be buyer centric, right? Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing anyone could do is go through your buying process, maybe interview customers and first ask them what were great points and what were friction points. Because I do think it varies a little bit between company to company and industries. But I will say is we've at least doing our own research, putting out that report with Chili Piper, as you mentioned, what we've heard time and time again are three main themes. So one, not surprisingly, is pricing. I think anyone who's bought software has realized how frustrating it is when you're like, is this piece of software $5 or 5 million? I have no idea. So even I always say, even if you can't maybe put it on your website, just think about bringing pricing up earlier in your sales cycle. Maybe you send it before the first demo. Maybe you send it after. It doesn't have to be as drastic as put on your website, but just think, how can I bring this up a little bit? Two
Yeah.
is just easy calendar scheduling. So making it super simple to actually get a demo. From our report with Chili Piper, we basically requested demos with the top 100 SaaS companies, and 35% never responded to us, which feels pretty insane to think that these are people actively requesting to book a demo. And we just got no, not even disqualified, just no response from 35%.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then the third thing, again, not surprisingly, just showing your product. And again, this doesn't have to be as extreme as interactive demos on the website, but just trying to make it a little more upfront on your website that showing the actual product experience, the UI, not just invented screenshots, or we've all seen those like design elements, really making sure that people get an idea of what your product does before they jump on that first call. Again, so they know what they're signing up for and understand, especially if they're evaluating the market. If you can show a little more of UI and UX, they can understand how you differ.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So in that, when you talk about interactive demos, right, people directly think that you need to have a PLG motion. Okay, I'll say it's product led growth motion in place, because I said this because I think a lot of people will not get PLG, but yeah. So yeah, so they think that they need to have a product led motion in place to have something like that, right? Or maybe not as extreme as an interactive demo, but they think that a sales led approach is the way to go. And if we want to pivot to something what you explained in terms of buyer centric approach, then we'll have to go totally PLG, and there is no middle ground. What are your thoughts on pivoting towards PLG or keeping a mix of both? Or even if you're like just sales led, how do you make a buyer centric approach there?
Yeah, it's funny. We get that sometimes. And when we've looked at our customer base, it's actually about 50% sales led, 50% PLG. So you don't need to be fully PLG. And for any of those who aren't familiar, just basically if you have some sort of free trial offering or if you lead with your product versus leading with a sales call. But you don't need to have that to necessarily show your product. And if anything, we actually hear a lot of sales companies come to us and say, hey, we ultimately want to go PLG or we understand the benefits of PLG, but my product is too complex. Like I'm worried
Hmm.
that there won't be high activation and success rates if I just give them free reign. Maybe two, I don't have the engineering bandwidth because I've
Yeah.
worked at PLG companies before and it does take up, it's very hard to take precious engineering time for making the product better to take towards your free trial experience. Or three, they just don't maybe have the time. Like they want to get something up fast and they want to just have the marketing department be the one working on it, or they don't need to want to have to involve every other department. So they almost use interactive demos as their first step into PLG because it's
Hmm.
a way to show the product, but it doesn't have to require any engineering resources, a lot faster. And also, it's all fully set up. So you're not relying on the end user to have to do any setup to see value.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.